please welcome him up to the side.
See if I can put this in here. Can you hear me? Is that okay? No? Okay. How about now? Is it okay? Yeah?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Now it's good.
So let's see. Assalamu alaikum. It's great to be here. Really appreciate all of your time. And my doctor, Dr. Francisco, is not here. He was planning to be here, but he got very busy with something, so hopefully I'll be okay to cover all of these. So he's my professor at the Public Health Department, and Sister Sarah and Sister Tanya and Sister who really talked a lot about the community participation and the need of the Muslim community. And I'm also an assistant professor at Alabama University in Turkey, and still collaborating with my degree at Greensboro, where I did my PhD in counseling. So in general, what I start my lecturing or when I'm doing something with the community, I start with like 2 minutes quiet or prayer time or active, be mindful, whatever you want to say. Yeah. But I think we have been sitting a lot, so I'm gonna try something different if you are open to that. Is that okay? If you are feeling that you are gonna get stressed or traumatized or something like that, practice, I just want to really put that piece on the table as well. So you can just sit back and, so I would invite everyone, if we can, stand up, please. Because I think we have been sitting a lot and maybe we got lost some energy, so let's see if we can bring the energy a little back. So I'm not going to explain a lot, but can you just, if you want, you could close your eyes, please, and then try to take some deep breath from the diaphragm, please. Great reminder from the sister. Yes, if you want, you could stretch your hands so we get some serotonin dopamine in our body, please. And get our attention. So now again, you can take 2 more deep breaths, but this time please take the deep breath and hold on it, and then take from the nose and give out from the mouth. Okay, so now if you could join me, please unwrap your hands. That's great. Everyone is participating. That's really great. Some teaching undergrads and some of them they don't. And they feel like, okay, I respect. Okay, so now could you do that and bring back closely. Do you put something like an object in your hand? Some active hand, active passive. Do you feel an object, you think? No? Okay.
I feel an energy.
Yeah, but like you feel there's like the electrons, something like goes between 2 hands. Okay, I feel. So okay, you can sit now. If you have not felt that object, that means we did not get your energy back, and you have permission to sleep or take a rest. Okay. And before I start my presentation, when I sent this presentation to the Institute of Muslim Mental Health or Muslim Mental Health Conference. Really, I did not expect that our article for the study would come out. So I really just want to put on the tables. If you are really interested, you could take with you a few of them. Thank you. And if you are interested, I could send you the email or you could download from the Kuba application as well. So, quick thanks to Muslim Mental Health Conference and Institute of Muslim Mental Health. I do really appreciate and I really respect what they put for us so that we are all these mental health researchers and providers are together in this great building and this great city. That's a lot for us, and also I really appreciate all of your time. We are at the end of the day, and it's Friday, right? Like psychologically, we get into that holiday season, holiday mood. So really appreciate that. So how our study is so by the way, I put a lot of photos so to really make it a little more fun. I really like meaningful things when there's a fun in them. So yeah, and all the pictures that I put on here, they are from the social media. So from the NSA, from the University of North Carolina website. So there's no anything unethical with the pictures. So when I first started my PhD at UNC Greensboro, I attended the first Welcome Back NSA event, and there were like 600 attendees at Muslim Student Association. Like that's amazing, right? It was the largest group at UNC Greensboro. So I'm attending that, and it's my the second week, and like it's something starts to happen. Like people are saying, "I don't feel safe," or "This thing happened. Somebody attacked me." My roommate is playing this new game that when you are killing Muslims in the game, you get so much points. When you are destroying a mosque, you get so much points. And you see that I don't feel safe. Just a moment, where are you kidding? Like, where are you right now? And when I talked to them a little more, they said, yeah, that's the case here. And so really, we started to talk with the MSA board, and they talked about one really difficult and serious issue. And I had a lot of interest and experience when I did my master in clinical mental health counseling at the University of Rochester, New York. So I had some background about that. So I reached out to the university and I asked the chancellor at that time and the dean whether they have any studies about Muslim population, Muslim community at UNC Greensboro. And they said, no, they don't have anything. So that was important, and they also asked if you do something, they would be very supportive to that. Because really UNC Greensboro, I need to give the credit, they are very welcoming to all diversity. So at that time I was about to start my cognate, so at UNC Greensboro, you have to do a PhD, you are supposed to have a cognate, you go to a different department and get at least 4 courses in that department. So I was about to start my cognate in public health. I talked to my professor, Dr. Francisco, and he said, okay, let's talk to the MSA. And so we had really about 4 hours brainstorming meeting with MSA. We just did the board, and about 75 issues came out of that brainstorming. And after that, I started looking at the literature, what's happening in the literature, whether there are some solutions, whether there are some programs that we could use and utilize. So this study is important because Muslim population increase. This is the facing growing rate curve in the country. Muslim faces social issues at life level, global, large, local community, interpersonal and intrapersonal levels. So it's really important. Muslims face social issues affect everyone. It's not just Muslims or just Muslims in Greensboro, right? Or Muslims in the southeast of the United States. We are living in a global village, so it's affecting everyone really. And from this, you can see Muslims are not utilizing the services and they are underserved. Muslims' cultural versus contemporary by social perspective, looking at the mental health services. So they have different perspectives, even though most of the Muslims see mental health issues and the treatment of mental health issues from a cultural perspective. But we have some studies that talk about how we should also see the contemporary biomedical approaches. And a lot of literature on barriers to utilize mental health services. And this study is important because we are going to get a more holistic, contextual, and systematic picture of the Muslim psychosocial issues and how Muslims see mental health services, understand better what psychosocial issues are most common. Right? We all have issues, but which are most common in our community and which ones we need to start with. This is a really critical issue. And so we are going to be able to improve interventions based on the research results. Yeah. Some gaps in the literature when I was doing the literature. These studies about Muslims in the South. It's very interesting, really. We have a lot, not a lot, but most of the literature in the US is coming from the north. Like many comes from the Chicago area. That was very interesting. The focus is on Muslim issues, but there was no systematical list of Muslims' common psychosocial issues. Like, okay, college students face issues and aggression and racism, but what about the other issues? Do we have any other issues? So there was not a systematical list of it. So that was important for comparing what the MSA board is reporting. Lack of mental health providers acting with and for the Muslim community, what Dr. Rania was talking about, community-based service, that was missing from the literature. Going beyond conducting Muslim, that was really critical for me. Getting out of our hybrid tower and going into the community and acting with them for them was really missing from the literature. So statement of the problem based on all the gaps, it's important to act with and for to understand the Muslims in the southeast of the US, understand the common psychosocial issues and strengths and approach mental health services, and starting addressing them, enhance the quality of life for all. So the purpose of the study was to meet the gaps mentioned, collaborate with for the Muslim community, the Muslim community, and interested in Muslim mental health, construct a comprehensive list of most common concerns, start addressing these issues, and enhance the collaboration between Muslim community and mental health providers, researchers. Increase the quality of life for all, starting with the Muslim community at that college. So this is one of the pictures that I was talking about, the research that we are going to start, and we were introducing the community, and this is one of the MSA community. And the Health Foundation of America was one of the main supporters for that, especially Reverend Rob Preston, if you know him. And he was really supportive. He was supportive. And this is a concept map of what's happening when you type in Muslim mental health and USA. So that is a kind of coming out of a meta-analysis from my PhD dissertation. So I would invite all of us to look at this concept. This construct institutional professional factors, which means not addressing primary needs like safety, racism, justice, lack of appropriate information. Like in the literature, there was a construct that says mental health providers are not culturally effective. They are not attending our primary issues. Like we are dealing with racism, we are dealing with not having working class in the restrooms. We do not have enough prayer places, so and no one is addressing these issues. So for this, the current presentation, I'm going to talk about these constructs and what we did for this one. So, as I said, one of the concepts in the literature that was not named, institutional professional factors not addressing primary issues. Muslims might not acknowledge and trust mental health providers because they generally do not acknowledge and address primary issues that I said, like safety, food, prayer facilities, discrimination, exploitation of Muslim heritage, talking about at the global level, for example. And we have started, it was interesting, we have started this study about 3 months before the Chapel Hill shooting, and we were constantly collaborating with MSA and the university, going through the IRB, and we were just about to launch the study, sending the 12 bricks, and then the Chapel Hill shooting happened, and then we stepped back for like 2 weeks. The university wanted us to stop. Because a lot was happening, the meetings after meetings were happening, and it was helpful because I constantly attended all the meetings at the university, and we got a few more items from those meetings that we added to our common list. Yeah, so this is another letter that we received in the area, a very close restaurant to the university, asking Muslims to disappear from the area. So you can see the hate and the racism that Muslims are facing. And you can see all the literature about that supporting all these things. And yes, the literature is supporting mental health providers having cultural and spiritual competencies, which are really important. At UNC Greensboro, as Sister Noor talked about, we really get an education that says, please bring spirituality and religiosity in the room with intake question, not beyond that. You are asking a question, do you want to talk about spirituality? And then if they say yes, then we have other sub-questions. So I think this is important, and we have many associations related to mental health that they have ethics, they have some items in their ethics talking about religious and spirituality. So theoretical foundations for the study, we have to look at from really an individual and contextual perspective when we are dealing with the Muslim community. And when we are conducting research, we really need to have some concept maps as well. When I was reading some literature, they would say, okay, I'm going to talk about this construct, and then it was like not contextualized. They were not giving me a concept map that I was saying, like I got from in my dissertation. I mean, it's not really necessary, but it helps. The literature says if you really want to have a grounded study, then have a concept map for your study, or borrow from someone and then use this one. So for our therapy framework, we really, coming from a counseling perspective and being a mental health provider and a researcher, definitely I'm going to come from an individual perspective. I'm going to use all my counseling skills at the individual levels and at the group and at the community level, so I can really be empathic with them. So I do not put them down, I do not shut down the conversation. And also, since we are dealing with a community and we are dealing with so many different issues, so you have to have a kind of social ecological, a contextual approach as well. And to be a little more specific, we used allyship development conceptual framework, which was developed at Boston College. So let me talk a little about the allyship development. So let me talk a little about allyship development conceptual framework. It has 6 steps, 6 components. First, it says experience, cooperation, and conflict. The model literally says, as mental health researchers and providers, you also need to get a taste of the experience that the community or the person is experiencing. And as Muslims, I think we all tasting and experiencing that, whether we want or we do not want. So that is obvious. The second is increasing awareness of social injustice. So creating a platform and being open to address this issue. And the third one, developing a sense of efficacy that as participants and researchers, they can contribute for a meaningful and livable conditions. So it's not just these issues are here and we are going to just talk about them, but we are going to go beyond this and do something and create some meaningful things. And seeing one's position in all these processes, which means like as a researchers, mental health providers, you also see yourself in that process, not just living in an ivory tower. And developing a comprehensive and contextual perspective for addressing those psychosocial issues. And the last one is using advocacy to implement meaningful initiatives in the community. We used a survey called Common Concern Survey, and you can find all the more details about that on Community Toolbox website. You can see we really literally followed all these 14 steps to develop our study. And these are the pictures from the study. Like you can see, Muslims are coming from all over the world. You can see like when they were attending MSA events, everyone would put a mark where they were from. So our participants were 116 responded and 114 were fully completed. 63 were male and 51 were female. And freshmen, sophomores, juniors, graduates, and other students enrolled in English preparation classes. So our method was a mixed methodology. We had 33-item survey questionnaire that we created from the literature review and brainstorming with the MSA board members and 6 professors. 3 were Muslims and 3 were non-Muslims. And we had 2 open-ended questions as well. So this is the procedure how we did, like as I said, literature review, MSA brainstorming, and going back to the literature review, the meetings after the shooting happened at UNC Chapel Hill. Data analysis is a kind of a little different. For the really detailed explanation, you need to go to the community toolbox to look at that. But here's you literally takes the weight of how many people are responding to which one. It's well explained on the community toolbox, or if you want, I can explain after the presentation as well. So this is our questions, 33 items, and 33 items, as we have said. But we had to remove a lot of items because, like, we couldn't come with like 100 issues, so we had to remove some of them. Like one of the items that we removed, and one person on the MSA board was insisting. She was saying, we have some difficulties with finding a husband or a wife, and she was insisting to put that item on that, but the rest of the participants said, no, we shouldn't have that on that list. Yeah. So after the results, top 10 concerns were like this. The first one, you have prayer venues, rice ablution stations, and water in restaurants. And you can see like the relative importance is almost 95% of the participants. This is number 1 concern for us. And the relative satisfaction is like 20%. So this is really critical for us. And the second, feeling safe. The third one, I'm safe. And the third one, the next one, you do not experience verbal or physical insult or abuse. Like these issues are really very serious. Top strengths for this research, we really did not have strengths because the satisfaction was so low. And based on the analysis, if the satisfaction level ratio is very low, then you really do not have strengths. But if we say we have some strengths, so you can practice your faith, you are pleased with your experience at your college, such strengths. And we really added 4 items that did not come from MSA, but from literature. So we had 4 items related to mental health. Counseling could be helpful for yourself or your community to address issues. The relative importance like 64, which means like we don't care about mental health thing. And the relative satisfaction is like 43, still it is low. So from here you can see like the community really, they do not see mental health services or mental health providers as important. So these are the open-ended questions. We have 2 open-ended questions. What else they would like to see? Like if they ask for a research association of Muslims. After all these results, from the beginning we had planned a community dinner and community gathering, so we can share the results with the community and with the university. We called the local media as well, like NPR, the local televisions, and the local newspapers, and they all came really. So that was really powerful. This is a picture from the community dinner and organization. So the participants were really about like 25 of the participants out of 70, 80 were non-Muslims, and it was really very interactive. It was really good to see everyone is attending the dinner and the discussion, and they constantly interactively engage with each other and with us as well. And in terms of the demographic questions, you can see, do you identify as a Muslim, whether you try to practice or not? It's like, yes, 96% say yes. This is really important for us. So the results overall, Muslims have many psychosocial issues, and we really need to address these with the community, starting with the most common issues. An implication for future research, what we can do, we really need to go further, and based on this research, we can do more participative action research or community-based research. Or photos, like we did following different because like the most common issues, like having water in the cans, like most of the non-Muslims said, excuse me, but what is this? Like, why you want water in the restrooms? And we had to organize another study really. And so this is important for us, for researchers to really look at the past research to organize the others. And implications for mental health practice, I think we have a lot. And by the way, these pictures are all from the campus all around the place. Like this is a masjid that they created after the research. And these are the watering cans in the restroom at UNC Greensboro. Like this is not, it's something very small, but you know, like this is very important. Like we got 100 emails from the alumni, from the students, and saying, oh, thank you so much, and these and these. Yeah, like we got all over the university staff. We first started with the library, with counseling centers. We have 3 counseling centers at UNC Greensboro. This is awesome, right? And yes, and we also, there was a lot willing for the research association, and we really helped the community to found research association of Muslims and the university. We had a really private meeting with the chancellor after this study, and he invited us to his house and he said, could you explain this research to us? And they increased the budget of Muslim communities like MSA and RAM almost by 300%. That was really, yeah, that was. This is another study that counseling department, after this study, they came out and they did a really good event with the Muslim community, and it took about like 5 hours, even though it was organized for 2 hours. After 2 hours, they ended with 2 hours, and people stayed for 5 hours. And we also got a chaplain So here's our chaplain, Brother Abdul Muhaimi. After the research, one of the items was, do you need a Muslim chaplain on campus? And it was like 75% yes. And we put that item after the meeting, after the shooting happened, because many non-Muslims, they said, they are asking their roommates about Islam, and their roommate says, no, thank you. I'm not going to talk about this with you. And the Muslims said, why we? Like, I don't know if I'm going to talk about Islam and something. Well, first, maybe I do not know a lot about this. And second, I don't know, maybe you are going to call FBI, you are going to call the police. What's going to happen? And MSC, like the president stood up at the community dinner and at those meetings and said, like, you know, like the university is expecting us as students to do everything. So at the end of this thing, we really collaborated with the chaplaincy system at the university, with the three mosques in the area and the Zakat Foundation, and we got Brother Abdul Muhaimi. He is on campus for 20 hours a week. Yeah. And of course, we have a lot of limitations. And conclusion, I think we did many good things with the community. Yeah, this is a picture of in Ramadan. University said they had never organized iftars for Muslims. So this is a picture. They opened the faculty center for Muslims to use in the Ramadan, because Ramadan was in summer when I was there. And so almost every place, every center would get closed. So they opened this place and they also paid for 50% of the expenses for the iftar. And the rest was coming from the Muslim community and the Zakat Foundation of America, really. And this picture is from one of our events, and this is the police. And so why the police? It's really interesting because like when we organized the dinner, almost about 6 emails came to us and they said, we want to attend the dinner, but we do not feel safe. So imagine this is like a month or like 45 days following the shooting. So we called the police and we said, well, this is the case. And they said, you know, like we could come, but you have to pay us $300. Well, we don't have $300. But if you come, you can have some free delicious food. And they came. Like the jury came and the police came. And they said, but one of them cried at the event, the police. He said, like, it makes me so sad, like, the Muslim community says, we do not trust, we have an argument about whether you trust the police or not, and it was so low, like 20%. And, like, they were calling in the open-ended questions, like, we would never call the police, and that was, like, really, and the police cried, and he was, like he's tall, you know, like, and from that, they really wanted to collaborate, so it was really good point for us. Okay, I appreciate the help from this. Professor Dr. Cashwell is not, he's Christian, Dr. Young is a Christian, Dr. Isfoknofuchu, she is Buddhist, Dr. Omar Ali is a Muslim, Dr. Ifasata was a Muslim, Dr. Mark was not a Muslim, he was a Buddhist, Dr. Wyatt was a Christian also. They really helped a lot with reaching out to community and especially looking at the items and refining the 33 items. And thanks a lot to these people on the MSA board. Thank you so much for the...
Thank you so much to all 4 of our speakers. Can we have one more round of applause for all 4? So we're going to go ahead and move on to the Q&A portion. I gave the mic so you guys can pass it along to whoever would like to answer. We already have some questions, but if you guys have any questions, please, there are note cards in the center of your table. I encourage you guys to write them out. Hiba will be walking around and grabbing them. It's right there. Wave. Okay, so the first question that we have for you guys, how are clients and patients recruited to receive mental health services? how do you outreach to certain multiple minority populations? For example, Latinx Muslims or LGBTQ Muslims. And this was directed to Dr. Ali and Dr. Awad.
If I'm understanding the question, I think he was asking about the Khalil Center then, perhaps, of how to outreach to different populations. Yes? Okay. So a lot of the work that we do in the community is really going as far and wide and diverse, canvassing essentially the whole community. The Community Advisory Board, the CAB, that I referred to, one of the main goals was to have as many people from as many different backgrounds as possible on our advisory board. The reason being that each of them would be able to be a spokesperson for their community and be able to allow us access into pockets of the community that otherwise don't necessarily show up to the mosque. We know that many people are unmosqued and many people are just, that's not really where they're thinking for mental health services to come from, per se. So part of that outreach is really just going into every little segment and corner. I didn't mention that the CAB, now that we've done the multiple things that I mentioned, the CRT, the crisis board, the crisis team, response team, the advisory board, the Khalil Center, the website, all the different outcomes that came out. What we're currently doing is listening groups. So we split out the entire San Francisco Bay Area into geographic regions. We actually call them the North Bay, East Bay, South Bay, for those who are familiar with San Francisco. And what we're doing is kind of going through all the different community leadership within each of the bays and having listening groups. What's the needs in your sub-geographic location? That's actually what we're currently doing in this year, 2019. So that way we're kind of outreaching all these different things. But you'd be amazed. I mean, every year, so the Khalil Center in San Francisco, I'll speak at least for my offices, we've been around now for going on 4 years. And in every year, we've had enough of an outpour of need that I've opened up a new office, and then another office, and then another. So the outreach, I mean, we're doing the work, but people are pouring in as well. I think the need is just so palpable that essentially they're showing up in every community as well.
Thank you. Another actually question regarding your PR study. How is religiously identifying operationalized in your study?
So the study was for people who identify themselves as Muslims. And in the recruitment, we did not really do like a religiosity scale because we didn't want to, categorize people as, having high, mid, low, religiosity. We did not want to have this in the conversation. We wanted to be open to people to come in. And usually people who identify themselves as Muslims, they're going to participate. So in the recruitment, and the thing is that when State Muslim Mental Health reached out to the MCA, a staff from the MCA who knows the community sat with us and they said, okay, let's reach out to these people. And then these people, with the first meeting, they started to recruit other people we know. So there was like some sort of like snowballing, but it was kind of like a targeted snowballing. Like we are also aware that sometimes with snowballing you can get to widely recruit from some ethnic group and then forget about others. So we were like trying to actively reach out. Oh, let's reach out to the Afghan community. Let's look at the African American community. Who knows this? Who knows that? Can you please connect me to this? So in order to get the diversity that we wanted.
Our next question was again directed to you two. There's lots of questions for you guys, but again, if you guys would like to pitch in this next one, please go ahead. Some clients have had negative experiences with Muslim therapists who aggressively use religion in their approach to counseling, i.e. putting in their opinions on religious matters their clients are facing and or being judgmental in their sessions. How can we ensure that therapists who do use Islam in their counseling don't inadvertently push their clients away?
I'm going to take that one up because I feel so strongly about this topic. There is a very clear difference between spiritual counseling and between mental health counseling. And I think that's what's incredibly important. So when you hear us say, we're we offer, one of the offerings of the Khalil Center is spiritually integrated psychotherapy. It is very specific in that the client has to request that that is what they want. So the status quo is a client comes into the room, they're going to receive counseling from whatever that therapist background is, CBT, they're trained in EM, whatever, emotionally focused therapy, whatever it is that they were trained in, that's usually what they're going to start off with. But if the client says, actually what I'm coming here for is because I want to hear this hadith and that ayah says this or that, then at that point it switches into, all right, we're still going to do the frame of professional counseling and therapy, but we're going to add to it the religious lens because the client requests it. So that's the first and foremost thing. Despite that, that is not a substitute for religious counseling or religious teaching. So as soon as the client comes and says, well, what's the opinion of Islam on X, Y, or Z, we go, oh, hold on, wait. And part of, because that is not the role of the mental health clinician or therapist ever. Right? These are two different domains. So we talked about earlier how the imams need to stay in their own lane. Also, right? Just because you're a Muslim or have a shared background or even know the answer to something does not allow us to kind of go into and answer those questions because it's simply not the space of counseling. You may explore why the client said that and how come it's a big issue and deal, and should there truly be an issue that they need help with, this is the referral to religious counseling and spiritual services, which Khalil Center also offers. So one of the things that we actually have built in is religious consultation. So we have certain imams who we feel are very psychologically minded, who we contract with, and when there actually is a religious issue that comes up, like in marriage, a couple has been fighting and having lots of back and forth between themselves, and finally come in for marriage counseling, like 20 years too late. And then there's, this happened and that happened and this happened and that happened, right? And then eventually, as the therapist is listening to all this, comes a religious question. Are these two still married? Depending on how many times they pronounce talaq, divorce, right? They may be so heated in the whole conversation, they don't even know whether they're actually still even married or not to even warrant doing marriage therapy, or whether the divorce has essentially already taken place. And that's a different therapy that needs to be approached. But the counselor, the therapist, that's not his or her role to do. This is where we do religious consultation. They go speak to the religious leader, the imam that we designate, basically. They have a separate session with them. He or she listens to the whole story and says the religious ruling is X, Y, or Z. That then gets transferred back to the therapist, who then works with them on either marriage counseling or divorce, post-marriage counseling, and so on and so forth. So I hope that clarifies that perspective or how we do deal with things essentially. And yes, people have had positive experiences and have had negative experiences both. But again, I really want to hold this point really closely, which is that even if Muslims are doing, Islamically integrated, as we call it, or spiritual counseling of whatever sort, it's got to really be two separated things. The goal is not to answer fiqh-based questions in the middle of the therapy session.
That's really important. And speaking of that separation, it's a great segue to our next question, which is, some Muslim clients face crises of faith and may not want to use religion in their therapy, i.e. they may have been victims of spiritual abuse or someone religious who may have traumatized them. In these cases, should counselors and therapists hold back from using Islam in their therapy?
It really depends on what the client wants. You're going to have people who unfortunately, and spiritual abuse is actually something that I'm a very kind of outspoken person about. I feel very strongly about that particular topic too. And what's interesting about people who unfortunately have gone through this type of abuse, for those who are not familiar with the term spiritual abuse, it basically means that people have been victimized or taken advantage of by people who are in religious authority places. Imams, teachers, the Quran teacher, the whoever. And unfortunately, the healing process for some people can actually come through religion. And for others, they want nothing to do with religion. So it's really client-centered, and it depends on what they want in their healing process. So again, as a clinician, it should never be our place to overextend our reach into what it is they want, but rather see what they want. And if we can't offer it, we're not trained in it, or can't offer it, that's when we refer to somebody who can.
Thank you. So we have to wrap up very soon. So if I can get like a 30-second response from you, Dr. Ali, it's a sweet way to end our last session of the day. As a graduate student who wants to do similar work as you, what is the best way for me to get involved?
30 seconds.
Graduate student in clinical psychology.
Who wants to do work similar to this?
Best way for me to.
So one of the very first things I would say to you, which is advice that I feel I received and I feel is very important to keep giving, is don't reinvent the wheel. Like part of the main work is figuring out who's doing what, which is conferences like these are great because we got to hear what UNC is up to, for example. We got to hear what your research was doing, and others all around. And so if you find someone or a group of people or entities that are doing what you think you want to do, instead of starting a dissertation, we were just talking about this earlier, the dissertation graveyards, where so many people, every time I come to these conferences, there's at least 5 people doing the exact same dissertation. People don't know what other people are doing, unfortunately. But Stanford Muslim Mental Health intends to, inshallah, have a database one day that puts in all the different research studies on Muslim mental health. Pray for us that this works. We're working on it, inshallah. So people just know what's out there before doing their own. But the point is, if you find somebody who's doing work that you're doing, don't reinvent the wheel. Actually go and see what they're up to. Maybe there's a piece of the puzzle that they haven't done yet that you could do that adds in this idea of bolstering other people's work and allowing your work to come in. It actually lifts your work and lifts the next person next to you as well. So I really encourage that. There's some great organizations, nonprofits. We mentioned the Khalil Center several times, but there's many others as well. Dr. Hamad was here from the Institute of Muslim Mental Health and other such entities that are also doing great work. So figure out who they are and ask for mentorship. Alhamdulillah, you guys have this. When I was going through training, I literally had to, Koning's name was up here several times. I had to go all the way to Duke. Stanford literally kicked me out for a couple of months, sent me to Duke to get training from essentially Christian mental health because there was nobody doing Muslim mental health at all, right? And he was an awesome mentor and be able to take that back and kind of reinvent, or kind of not reinvent it, kind of bring that back together. And nowadays, alhamdulillah, you guys have so many different mentors and they come in different shapes and colors and sizes, alhamdulillah. So please do reach out to them and try to see if you're able to become a mentee of them to get to that next level.
Thank you so much. And whoever that graduate student is, my recommendation is you have a wealth of knowledge up here, so come up to them and speak to them after the session. Just to wrap up, again, my name is Gunwa. Thank you so much for coming to the second day of the conference. Thank you so much to my team members that were in Ruby the whole day. I don't think they're all here, but Hibba's right there, and Munir was walking around. But anyway, thank you to all of you. For whoever's going to the gala, we will see you tonight. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow. Once again, let's get a round of applause for our